We have got a lot to be excited about with the return of Major League Baseball, although our meteorologist, man, that's hard to say, isn't it? Tough word. Meteorologist Frank Isola was on with us in hour one and said there may be rainstorms going on tonight in Washington, D.C. We're going to Washington, D.C. now to talk with a guy who was instrumental in helping to get Major League Baseball back up and running. He's Andrew Giuliani. He is the Special Assistant to the President and Associate Director of the Office of Public Liaison. That is a long, long title, Andrew. I don't know if it fits all on one business card. What's the latest on the weather? Are we going to get this game in tonight between the Nationals and the Yankees, or do you think you got rain issues potentially coming?
Well, Clay, if you haven't noticed, there are always storm clouds in D.C. So we are not too worried about it. We are looking forward to having baseball back. And, if we do have to wait another 3 hours for baseball to come back, I think everybody's got the patience now through everything that we've gone through over the last 5 months. So I'm hopeful. I know the president is hopeful. We want to see the Washington Nationals, the MLB world champions, play the New York Yankees. I'm slightly biased in that, and we hope that kicks it off. But we'll have the patience to see baseball coming back. We are excited.
What has actually needed to happen in order for normalcy to get back? We've got the NBA next week that is officially going to be back underway. We have got the NHL will be back very soon. I know we've had a lot of individual sports, whether it's NASCAR, the PGA, whatever you want to break it down there. But when you actually look at at Major League Baseball, you were intimately involved in making this happen. How much work behind the scenes was involved in getting us back to a 60-game season and having Major League Baseball poised to return tonight?
Yeah, it's a good question, and truly it was an effort by really a lot of the federal government, all of the states where baseball is played, Major League Baseball is played, and there was just a ton of coordination between the health teams, between the front offices, between all the different team front offices, and all the governor's offices that are involved, even down to the localities and the mayor's offices. So it truly was just a matter of keeping coordination, us trying to get the latest information out there to the teams, to Major League Baseball, to the Players Association. And after the whole slog, it's exciting to see baseball getting back on the field. As we see our American history being questioned, to see baseball, America's pastime, being back out there, I think that's going to be a big boost to the psyche of all Americans.
You grew up a Yankees fan. Your dad was the mayor of New York City during 9/11. What do you remember? I know you were young, but what do you remember about the Yankees coming back, the Mets coming back, and what baseball meant to the city of New York in terms of returning to some sense of normalcy?
Yeah, it gave people an opportunity when they were grieving, when they were angry, when they were upset, to take 3 hours out of their day and bond with their fellow New Yorkers, bond with their fellow Americans. We're going to be doing it a little bit differently now as we're starting off without fans in the stands, but social media has ultimately allowed people to bond, to get together. So I think there's going to be a great opportunity here for the American people to watch baseball, to be out there rooting for their favorite teams. I always think about it from a family perspective. While our family might have had a little more attention than others, I had disagreements with my father, with my mother, just like any other teenager. The Yankees always bonded us. We could always come back together because of baseball, because of football. And so to have that back, as I said before, I think it's a major psyche boost. I'm truly looking forward to seeing it back out there. With as busy as we've been over the last 3.5 years, I've only watched a few baseball games for all 9 innings. Normally it's watching an inning and a half, 2 innings at the end of the day just to kind of reset my mind, but I can't wait, and I'm hoping I get to watch 18 innings of baseball tonight. So,
how good are the Yankees going to be this year? You guys are favored to potentially be in the World Series as the American League representative. Does that seem like a reasonable expectation?
We've got to do it. I think it's going to be very interesting to see ultimately what the agreement is with the playoffs. It's obviously you end up expanding that out to 6 more teams, and truly, you get into a 5-game series, a best 3 of 5 series in the first round there, and anything can happen. So it's truly a matter for the Yankees, and I think with everybody, of getting out to a hot start this year and getting yourself set up to have the best chance in that. But as we know, And as they say in other sports, right, you get yourself into the tournament and see what you can do. I think the Yankee rotation with Garrett Cole right up the top there, I think is going to be great, just like anything else with the Yanks or any other sport. It's a matter of them staying healthy. But I think their mindset is good. I think Judge is a great leader for that team. I think they've got great talent with Torres, and obviously we're hoping Stanton stays healthy, and great veteran leadership with a guy like Gardner and Tanaka. And so I'm hopeful for the Yankees to get back into the World Series for the first time, and I guess it's been 10 years since '09, right? So
yeah, we're talking to Andrew Giuliani. He is the special assistant to the president, associate director of the Office of Public Liaison. He's been intimately involved in getting baseball back. You mentioned the idea of the expanded playoffs. I think this kind of speaks. We just talked to John Morosi, who is our Major League Baseball insider. He said it's a little bit like putting wheels on a plane as it's taking off. You know, it's the very last minute. Would you like to see baseball expand the playoffs?
Good question. You know, this year I certainly understand why they do it, right? I mean, you're reducing the season down from 162 games to 60 games, and that was just the cards that we were dealt. So I certainly understand it. I don't know. It's a good question, right? Because you're talking about 162 games in a normal season where a team can get knocked out if they just have, one bad weekend, just like that. I think it's a very interesting question regarding competitive integrity. Obviously, there's a lot of money on the line, and there is going to be major negotiations that happen in 18 months that'll determine that. But I don't know. I love seeing the team that ends up over 162 games that's able to utilize their rotation, their bullpen, that's able to keep their players healthy and cycle them in, have a better chance when it comes to winning. And I think we see that now with the division winners. It's a tough question, Clay. What do you think about it? Let me put you on the spot. What do you think about the expanded playoffs?
I like the idea of expanding the playoffs all the time because I feel like, in particular, baseball, I mean, I would do the same thing in college football. At some point, I think you get to law of diminishing returns. The NBA has 30 teams and plays for an entire season to eliminate only 14 teams, so they got a 16-team playoff, and it basically overwhelms the entirety of the season. But baseball doesn't have that big of a postseason right now. I like the idea of expanding it. I think it's a little bit wacky to expand it in a 60-game season because a 60-game season means every baseball game's counting for basically 3 games, and so there's a lot more arbitrariness involved. But I also think it can make people out there believe, as long as you can keep your team, like the NFL is expanding to 14 this year from 12. The longer you can make me believe my team has a chance to win a championship, the more engaged I'm going to be with the season. So I think it probably makes sense in a general idea. Just got to be careful that you don't overdo it where more than half the teams make the playoffs. Last question for you. You said something that I think is true for a lot of people regardless of where they work. You work in the White House. You've been there 3.5 years, regardless Republican, Democrat. You are going to be working so many hours. It's going to be overwhelming. There's a good feeling, I think, for many people out there, regardless of what they do for a living as well. When you get back home, you can kick your feet up, maybe open a beer, and just be able to watch sports every night and know it's going to be there. It's that security blanket for a lot of people out there, a way to escape the serious things in life. How important is that to a return to normalcy in what has been a truly abnormal year?
I'd say outside of people going back to work and our kids going back to school, I think it's the next most important thing. I think it's so important to the American way of life that we can see our athletes out there, that we can start participating in sports again. To do it safely, it's going to be incremental. And in different locations, there are going to be different rules on how to do that and how to get back on the field. But it's such an important part of it, Clay. I mean, I think about all the times that I competed as a kid, all the times watching the Yankees, as I still do that now. And as we said before, coming back after work and watching a game, watching the NHL playoffs. I can't wait for it here. And hopefully college football we see back on the field. It means so much. I'd say after people going back to work, getting that settled, figuring out how our kids get back in the classroom, I think sports might be the next most important thing to getting our country back to normal, to getting us to just absolutely loving our neighbor, getting in there, watching a game, maybe not loving our Boston neighbors for a couple of months, but that's healthy. That's healthy. That's what you want. We want that competitiveness. We're excited to see it start. I know the president's excited to see it start. We were discussing it yesterday. Let's hope it starts at 7:07 tonight in Washington. If not, we can wait another 3.5 hours until it starts out in L.A. Is it in L.A. or it's in San Francisco? I know
it's in L.A. It's in L.A.
It's in L.A.
I got another question for you now that I think about it, because you just mentioned the president. I know you golf with the president a decent amount because you played golf at Duke, if I believe I'm correct in this.
That's correct,
how would you assess the president's golf game? What is his strength, and are you even willing to say what his weakness is?
Yeah, I think he's and I don't know if I'm willing, actually. That's a good question, first of all.
Anytime you're asked to assess your boss's weakness, it's always a delicate task here. But I'm curious, on the links, how would you break down his game?
He is an incredibly clutch putter. The guy is, if there is a match on the line, he's going to make it, I would say, more than 50% of the time. He's an incredibly accurate driver of the ball. I would say if there's one part that probably needs a little bit of work, it's probably the short game, but I think we can excuse that considering the hours that he's working. If he had a little more time, his short game might be a little bit better. Although I will say, I saw him recently out there, and he had a couple of great little pitch shots over bunkers that were truly adept. But one of the things that I absolutely love about having him out there is it's just an absolute great way for anybody to be able to clear your mind. You know, you think about the pressures of whatever job you have, but especially the presidency of the United States. He plays fast. He gets out there in 3.5 hours, and it's a great way to see him reset and come back into the office ready to work his butt off, which the guy never stops. There was, and I'm sorry to go on this, but I remember at one point during everything in March while the leagues were shutting down, he called me one time at 1:53 in the morning, and then he called me again at 5:27, and he woke me up on both ends. And I just thought, you know, I've got 37 years on this guy. Where does this guy get this energy? And it truly is amazing. So, does
he trash talk to you at all on the golf course?
There's a little trash talk. You know, I think Lindsey Graham is better at trash talking probably than he is, but the president is better at backing up whatever trash talk that he actually does, which truly is the most important thing. He lets his clubs do the work.
Andrew, appreciate the time. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck to your Yankees. It'd be amazing if we could get a Dodgers-Yankees World Series game. World Series would be fantastic.
It certainly would. And Clay, thank you for everything that you're doing. I think you guys are presenting the facts in a truly great way. We truly appreciate everything out there, and keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. Thanks, my man. That is Andrew Giuliani.